ongoing and exploding humanitarian crisis, with people pouring over the southern U.S. border by the tens of thousands. The president did meet tonight with one of his harshest critics on this topic, the Republican governor of Texas, Rick Perry. It's where we begin our coverage of the region and this humanitarian crisis tonight. Our senior White House correspondent, Chris Jansing, traveling with the president tonight in Texas. Chris, good evening.
Good evening, Brian. After days of back and forth over whether this meeting would even happen, the president is in that private terminal behind me with Governor Perry and about 10 other officials talking about the crisis on the border. And in fact, the president and the governor had some one-on-one time in the ride over here on Marine One. All of it part of a series of carefully negotiated compromises. But coming to some sort of common ground with Congress will be far more difficult. When Air Force One landed in Dallas, the president got an unexpected tarmac welcome from longtime antagonist Governor Rick Perry, but walked into a political firestorm over his decision not to travel to the border and witness the humanitarian crisis there firsthand. Even something as seemingly simple as a visit to a bar to shoot the pool and have a beer with Colorado's governor was fuel for his critics, including a fellow Democrat.
And I hate to use the word bizarre, but under the circumstances, when he is shown playing pool in Colorado, drinking a beer, and he can't even go 242 miles to the Texas border.
Add to that the much criticized optics of 3 close fundraisers on this trip, but the White House isn't budging.
You know, the president is less concerned about optics compared to impact. What he wants to make sure that we're doing is everything we can to make sure we're treating the children properly.
The president's efforts to quell the controversy by meeting tonight with Governor Perry, religious and local leaders, hardly changing the conversation in Washington. In fact, the White House emergency request for $3.7 billion to deal with the crisis exploded on the Senate floor.
I cannot vote for a provision which will then just perpetuate an unacceptable human crisis.
Frankly, my Republican friends can't have it both ways. They can't criticize the president, in fact, sue the president for abusing his executive authority, and at the same time come to this floor and criticize him for a lack of leadership.
All of which leaves tonight's meeting with virtually no chance of bridging a huge political divide and leaving thousands of children waiting for answers.
It's really unfortunate in this situation that children are getting caught in the middle. And, you know, this is really their lives at stake.
So what happens next? Well, the president goes back to Washington tomorrow, and the question is, what kind of counterproposal, if anything, will the Republicans have to the president's $3.7 billion plan? Brian?
Chris Jansing.